All right. We talked about all this fun stuff last week as far as going back and doing the McMurray's test, right? And so we need to start again talking about prevention. Someone missing? To avoid injuries to the knee, the athlete must be as highly conditioned as possible, which means, not shish, but which means total body conditioning. All right? Includes upper body strength, flexibility, cardiovascular, and muscle endurance, agility, speed, and balance. Muscles around the knee must be strong and flexible. Thus, why we see these folks doing this stuff here, because probably the number one lower, well, no, it's not going to be number one. Ankles would be number one. But this certainly is more of a debilitating injury than what an ankle sprain would be. So, athletes participating in a particular sport should acquire a strength ratio between the quads and the hamstrings muscle groups. For example, the hamstring of a football player should be 60 to 70% of the strength of the quadriceps, meaning that if you're able to do extensions of 100 pounds, you should do 60 to 70 pounds curls. Well, obviously, they're going to do more than that. So the gastroc muscles should also be strengthened to help stabilize the knee. Although maximizing muscle strength may prevent some injuries, it fails to prevent rotary type injuries. So if I'm playing football, how many times should I be standing with my legs completely straight? How about none? Because you're not in a football position. When you're playing baseball, should you stand up there at bat like so? Is this how you are ready at shortstop to get the ball? No, everything. What?
When they do
Kickoff? No.
No, not kickoff. When they like throw it, no, when they kick it into the goal, they like some of them stand like this, like they do that in straight.
Who? The kicker?
No, all the people that are in the front. Right.
No.
I don't know what they're called. I promise.
They're called bench warmers.
No.
If they are standing with their that is not a football ready position. Yes, I'm sure. It is not a baseball ready position.
How many times are they all standing in a wall? They're like.
No. So the rotary type position, well, when you get to a point where you're 20, 30 degrees, you rotate in, whether you've got strength or not. If it's a hard enough blow for a rotary injury, you very well can end up with an ACL, an MCL, or a medial meniscus. You also need to pay attention to their shoes that they wear. So, cleat length, AstroTurf shoes, but cleat length, let's go to cleat length. All right. So, it used to be that you could wear up to an inch cleat on the bottom of your shoe. They're outlawed now. Okay? Well, mainly for two reasons. One reason is that people would use them as nice little dangerous, I'm going to stab your hand device. The other reason is because of injuries. All right? So if I've got on a pair of cleats, I want my heel to be able to give way. It's mainly the front or ball of your foot that you really need to be able to have your cleat to be able to run. You don't run unless you're on her team. You don't run on your heels when you're playing a game of football or a game of soccer or a game of baseball. So if I am playing football and I get hit, I don't want my cleat to be stuck, my heel to be stuck in the ground to where it won't give with it. Then I start getting that rotary type injury. So half-inch cleats at the best. One guy, baseball spikes. No, they're not long. They're less than a half-inch. So, yeah. And here's the whole thing. If you're in track, if you're doing track, you really shouldn't be having contact with other people. It's not a contact sport. Okay? AstroTurf shoes. Okay. When AstroTurf first came out, we were seeing, of course, a larger incidence of turf toe because those shoes would stop. When they wanted to stop, they stopped. And so their foot would go up and hit the shoebox and I sprained my, they bounce off, and you would end up with these great big sprained toes. Right? The other thing about it is you saw more blisters because the shoe would stop. So the next thing that's going to give is going to be your skin. And then the other thing is you saw more ACL and MCL injuries without anybody even hitting you. Because when you stopped, you get that shearing across your knee. Bam, somebody's hurt and didn't even know it. So if you watch people who play on the old type, and you don't find the old type of AstroTurf anymore. But the old type of AstroTurf, it didn't have all the little bubbles in it, the rubber, those little rubber pellets. It was carpet, more or less, and it was about that tall, and it was hard. And so you could play on it with regular basketball sneakers. So pay attention to what kind of shoes they are wearing to help defeat having an injury. Now, what do you think about knee braces? Do you have any thoughts on them? No? No thoughts on knee braces? They brace your knee. Okay. All right. We've had knee braces that's come through here, and before you got here, I threw most of them out. Okay? Because, well, let's talk physics. We'll go into here. Functional and prophylactic knee braces. All right? Functional knee braces are used to protect against grade 1, grade 2 MCL sprains and ACL sprains, and they also put them on a reconstructed ACL knee. Most of them are bilateral knee braces, not meaning that you wear them on both sides. It means that they've got the hinge on both sides. Okay? Now, these braces have an important part in the athletic community. They will also give the athlete some confidence while playing. But what did we just get done talking about? What's the best thing to help prevent knee injury? Not your shoe. No. Muscles, yes. So if you've got somebody who's out there and they have not rehabbed enough to where they're at least 95% of the strength that they used to be, they don't need to be out there with a brace or without a brace. Okay? So that you've got to get the muscle strength. That's essentially what's going to do it. I think that if a doctor wants to put them in a knee brace, great. I think that we have a couple of kids now that play athletics that wear a knee brace after their ACL, but it's all about just keeping their head in the game. I don't think that I think that if you're going to tear it again, you're going to tear it again, whether you're wearing it or you're not wearing it. It's all a psychosomatic type deal. Now, prophylactic knee brace. Prophylactic means preventative. All right, they were designed, or they are designed to prevent or reduce the severity of the knee injury. Worn on the lateral surface of the knee to protect the medial collateral ligament. Okay, so here they are. They're strapped on here, and they're strapped on here with these great big paddles. And then there's this hinge in the middle, so it goes back and forth. Got it? Understand what I'm saying? All right. Here's my opinion. I think that one, these prophylactic, not only do they not reduce injuries to the knee, I think they set you up to have injuries to your knee. Okay? So, I think one, they preload the ligament. All right? So, if I'm standing here, this is farther out than the middle of the knee. This is farther out than the middle of the knee. I take this on. What am I doing to the inside of the knee? I'm pulling it out. So now I'm preloading that ligament. So I don't think it works. All right? Anybody ever dent their bumper on their car? Huh? Paige did? All right, there's one. There's one there. It's only got one hinge on the outside. Right? Actually had some kid come in the training room one time with his dad, and he said, hey, it's a great thing he was wearing his knee brace. And we said, why is that? And he goes, he got hit so hard, his whole lower leg went to sleep, went numb, but he didn't hurt his knee. And we tell them, if you weren't wearing that knee brace, he probably wouldn't even had his whole leg going to sleep because the kid, when he got hit, it pushed it into the nerve right here and palsied and bruised his nerve. So he was having problems because he was wearing it. All right, let's take this little thing here. We'll call this our bumper. All right? All right, and here, stand up, please. You are there. You are the tree. So I'm driving along in my automobile. Sounds like a song, right? And I'm not paying any attention, and I hit the tree right there. Where does this go? And where does this go? Yeah, it makes a great big U around the tree, doesn't it? Right? Now, why is that this goes as far as what this end goes? I hit the tree. I only hit it in the middle, but this goes this way and this goes that way. Why? Physics. It's not like, it's physics, so it's law. For every action,
There's a reaction.
opposite and an opposite and equal reaction. So if I hit this with 200 pounds of force, how much force is that here? 100. How much force is that here? Exactly. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to park my car, and what she's going to do is she works for the power company. All right? So she's going to be trying to put this brand new telephone pole into the ground, and she's using this crane, and it's all out like that. All right? And the crane operator still has it, and it lets loose. So you let loose. Oh, what direction do the ends of my bumpers go? Instead of me hitting it, it hits me. What happens? It still goes around it because force does not know direction. It only knows impact, right? So it still goes around. All right. So now what I need to do is I need you to think about that bumper being attached to her leg and someone hits it. What happens to this end? And what happens to this end? It goes out. What happens to the ligament on the inside? It gets pulled open, doesn't it? The pieces of metal are being pulled out. The ligament then is going to be pulled out. So with physics, it doesn't work. So they started with this new idea, all right? And they decided, well, this is what we'll do. We'll get this strap, and what we'll do is the strap will then come around and attach here, and come up and attach here onto this little dilly, a little cup. And so I saw this at the convention, and I said, you know what you're saying with that is, don't you? He goes, what? I said, you're saying that's the counterforce. When the top one pulls and the bottom one pulls, the counterforce in the middle is what you're saying that it's going to come back to zero. So if I don't have this, you're saying essentially what I'm saying. They don't work. Oh, no, that's not what I'm saying at all. That's not what our theory is. I said, well, yeah, look at it in physics. And they said, well, that's not why are you so mean? I'm not being mean. I just want to explain to you that your stuff is not working. It's actually very well could be causing more injuries than helping injuries. So, why do they buy them? Well, those are post-op braces, post-operative braces, and we'll talk about those in a minute. Okay? So, the MCL injuries are usually caused from a lateral to medial blow, also known as a valgus force. Remember we did the valgus test? So, if I hit here, it's going to cause this to come over and that to go like this. So you hit on the outside, hurts on the inside, you've done some MCL damage. The other one is if you get hit here and you cause the body to come over top, then you get the lateral collateral injury. So I saw one guy in college, somebody got in between there and then somebody hit his hip and over the top he went. Not only did he get his LCL, but he also got his peroneal nerve. He got drop foot. Could never play again. So here we go. Grade 1, 2, 3, right? You know what to look for, don't you? What are we looking for? How much damage do we have in this one? Oh, there's a little or no joint effusion or swelling, right? The joint is stable. Few ligament fibers are torn or stretched. There may be some joint stiffness and point tenderness just below the medial joint line, and even with minor stiffness, almost full range of motion. Now, can they go and play? Not until that pain is gone, completely gone. Okay? So, what are we going to do for this? Well, maybe crutches if they're walking with a limp. If they're not, get them on crutches just to help remind them that it's not time to horseplay. Price, protection, rice, ice, compression, elevation, straight leg raises, side leg raises, ride the bike for range of motion, do the stair climber for strength and conditioning, functional progression with pain limiting activity. Functional progression, what is that? Yeah, functionally, but what's function? If you use your knee like you used to, yes, running, cutting, okay, and then you get sport-specific functional progression, all right? So now you're not even just running and cutting. If you're doing things in basketball, you do basketball skills. Football, you do football skills. And then you return to play with either functional bracing or tape, all right? I don't know that, has any of y'all ever seen me take a knee? No? Again, tape is not going to keep you from tearing your MCL. Again, bracing is not going to keep you from tearing your ACL, your MCL. It might reduce the severity, especially if like you're an internal lineman, you might get a grade 1 plus instead of a grade 2. Might. But you're still going to get the tear. Grade 2, all right? So now, the first one, we had just a few fibers torn and a little stretching. Now we're getting more fibers torn and more stretching. And so, when we do our test, our valgus test, you're going to feel that knee open up even more. All right? So, there's greater laxity at 30 degrees, as much as 5 to 15 degrees of laxity. You might have slight or no swelling unless the meniscus or ACL has also been torn. Moderate, there's your word, moderate to severe joint tightness, inability to fully actively extend the knee. Because the MCL is at its tightest when it's at extension and full flexion. So all that in between, they'll be comfortable. But when they get all the way out to full extension, then it gets tight again and it starts pulling on those fibers. And they say, stop it. You know, like if you get a grade 3, though, where you completely tear it, sometimes you won't have that pain. It hurts worse to have a grade 2 than what it does to have a grade 3. Certainly, you get a loss of range of motion, pains in the medial aspect of your knee with general weakness and instability. So here we go again with price and crutches. We put on a knee immobilizer or a playmaker brace because they've got it to where when they walk, it wobbles like a weeble. Okay? So let's put something on them to help them remind them even more, but at the same time, these braces are going to have 2 sides and really keep it from bending over. It's nothing for them to be playing in right now, but it's something that they're going to wear as far as a reminder to keep it straight. All right, ibuprofen or Aleve Let's control our pain and our swelling. SLR stands for
Or side leg raises? No, straight leg raises.
straight leg raises. Good job. And side leg raises. You want to do the bike, the stair climber when their pain is not there. Step up 2 to 4 inches, or they can do it just by standing here. All right. We're trying to keep that quad from getting weak. All right. So we're doing as much as we can, even to just keep them from getting weak, let alone trying to have to go get them and re-educate those muscles. Functional progressing, tape and brace to return that. Oh gosh, here we go, grade 3. All right, complete loss of medial stability. It's just you pick it up and you come over, and the only reason you stop is because you don't want to see their ankle hit their hip. It's bad. You just feel it. I mean, once you have done it for a while and you feel okay, this stops. Oh, that one finally stops. And then this one, you keep going. Where is it? A lot of times, though, they don't have that pain like you do with a grade 2 or even a grade 1 because, boom, they're torn. So you don't have the nerve endings being pulled on and stretched. They're torn. So immediate severe pain followed by a dull ache. You get a loss of motion. You get hamstring guarding. You get swelling. You get the bruising. All right. Your valgus test reveals that there's some joint opening in full extension and significant opening in 30 degrees of flexion. If he's non-operative, which most are now, it used to be if you had a grade 3 MCL, they would go in, cut your knee open, and stitch it back together. They've found that that's not smart. Unless you really pull it off of that bottom part of that bone. If you pull it off, you're going to need some help. All right? So, immobilization, 2 to 3 weeks. You increase your range of motion from 0 to 90 for another 2 to 3 weeks, and you treat with grade 1, grade 2 injury with a longer recovery time. So essentially, it's all going to be the same. It's that recovery time is going to be worse. And if it gets worse than that grade 3 to where they've actually avulsed it off, then they got to go have that dreaded surgery. So those aren't straight leg raises. Those are side leg raises. All right. Now, you can do those side leg raises this way if you have an MCL injury. Okay? But you do not do them this way. All right? Why is that? You're right, because it is pulling on it. You know, that's the medial side, so that weight down there is pulling it down. So it's not a good thing to do. TKE, some terminal knee extensions. Take you some band, wrap it around a table. You have it here, get the band to be a little taut, and then here, your terminal knee extension. Very easy, safe exercise. So are step ups. All right. Questions on this? Today is Monday. So